And we're back with more exciting adventures of the Incredible Hokes. I am Chris.
I am Mark.
And he's laughing about something that if I told you all, it would take. We had to do a whole show just to explain what that was. So better left just moving on.
Just know it was an obscure reference, but it was funny.
Okay, this is August. We're taping this in August of 2019. And here in the home stretch, I've always felt like September through the end of the year was like the home stretch. Maybe that's because when you're a kid, you go to school in that stretch. So even as an adult, I still think of that as like September through the end of the year is like a stretch of the year, like the back half.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Really, it's like July is the second half of the year starts, but for me, the second half of the year is really like September forward.
As an adult, I literally count the days every summer till that first cold front and get us out of these triple digits.
Right.
That's just me.
So here in the home stretch, we have Star Wars. We have the final feature film for a while, which will be The Rise of Skywalker. And we have a new endeavor, which would be a live-action series on Disney's streaming service, The Mandalorian. And yes, I will be subscribing to that. So, having said that, I was asked on YouTube to do a review of Revenge of the Sith. And in all honesty, I don't know if I want to do a whole show on the Revenge of the Sith. But I figured here we would take a look back at the prequels.
Right.
Preparing for the final stretch of 19, which has new stuff coming in. Right. So the original trilogies are loved and adored. We both agree that all three of them are all-time classics.
Sure.
4-star movies.
Sure.
Lock them up in the Hall of Fame for all time.
Mm-hmm.
The new ones, the jury's not in yet, but it ain't looking good after that second one.
It's like, the thrill of victory and agony of defeat.
Exactly.
Yes.
Prequels, we have all that in hand. We can take a look at the prequels, which we don't really spend a lot of time talking about the prequels.
No.
So, whatever order you want to go in, what are some thoughts? Here we are. Actually, this is 20 years. This is 20 years from Phantom Menace. So, 1999 to now.
That's depressing.
2019. So yeah, 20 years since Phantom Menace. So here at the 20th year anniversary.
All right, we'll start at the beginning. Phantom Menace. There was so much hype and excitement, and I remember us watching Entertainment Tonight.
To see like the trailer.
And they showed the trailer, and it was a really big deal.
We
taped it and all that, and it was a big deal, and we just couldn't get over what we were seeing. Of course, you see the movie, and it didn't unfold like we thought, but there was certain things that everyone liked, pretty universal right away. I mean, the two takeaways, and I think it's still true, more Darth Maul is what was wanted, and less Jar Jar.
Yeah, Darth Maul should have been.
So if they could have found a way to do more Darth Maul and less Jar Jar, I think Phantom Menace, its fortunes would have been better. And apologies to a young kid who got a great opportunity but wasn't a very good actor. They should have picked someone besides Jake Lloyd, playing the young Anakin.
Isn't Haley Joel Osment up for it?
Well, I would think he would be, since over 1,000 kids were considered. So,
but if was he a little too young at that point? I can't remember when did Sixth Sense come out?
99.
Oh, so he was right.
So he could have been in the running.
All right, well, Haley Joel Osment. Wow,
could have been.
Wow.
Yeah. So, okay. But those are my takeaways. Visually, it was a lot going on, a lot of CGI. And we don't think about that now, but at the time, it had a lot of CGI in it. At the time, I think it was over 1,800 shots, that was unheard of at the time. Believe it or not, Titanic had the record before it. Here is a dramatic film, but they used it a lot especially the last hour of Titanic. But yeah, it was kind of it was in tone. It was a kids movie, and it was obvious it was a kids movie, and you couldn't help be disappointed by that fact. But Star Wars original trilogy was made for kind of all ages, but it wasn't like it purposely dumbed down kid friendly.
Yeah.
You know, I know he Lucas tries to gaslight us into thinking, oh no, those were always kids friendly. Like, no, you're full of it.
Well,
knock it off with that.
One of the problems with doing a prequel review is that Red Letter Media made the Plinkett reviews, and in all honesty, those are the review of record for the prequels. To my opinion, like, I don't need to do a review of the prequels because that's the review. That's for the most part. That's what the fans feel about the prequels. Is go watch the Plinkett reviews.
Right.
That's the review. So having said that, I'll do my best to come up with some different thoughts. But honestly, I'm going to agree with a lot of their thoughts. Phantom Menace, in all fairness, when I saw it, I was a little disappointed, but I kind of liked it because I kind of felt like after I did Force Awakens, I felt like, well, we're going somewhere. I thought it was building and laying down. It was more of a ground laying type movie. Mm-hmm. And that's how I felt in 99. I was like, okay, it was a ground laying movie. Okay, I'm okay with that. Sometimes you have that in movies. Like,
sure.
The first Iron Man is great. It lays a lot of groundwork, you know? Mm-hmm. But that was done really well. So to be honest, in 99, I wasn't a hater. It became more popular to hate Jar Jar and things. It's kind of like Ewoks. In 83, we didn't hate the Ewoks.
No, not at all.
That came out later. It was later. Kind of like Blade Runner. Well, Blade Runner, you know, Harrison Ford was a replicant. No, nobody thought that. That was made up later. Somebody thought that. And what year did Blade Runner come out? 81, 82?
It was 82. And then the 91 director's cut was the first that came out that suggested that idea.
Nobody thought that in
but
between.
For 9 years, we didn't think that or know that at all.
I wasn't a giant Jar Jar hater. I honestly was not a giant Jar Jar hater at the beginning. That kind of arose, and that would kind of like, as the internet started becoming,
it became its own thing. Yeah.
I was disappointed. I honestly, thinking back and being honest about 99 and my thoughts then, I thought, well, you just killed Darth Maul. That's your main villain. That was your Darth Vader. Now I'm not going to have a Darth Maul in the next two movies. Gosh, how are you going to top Darth Maul?
Right.
I've always felt one of the drastic mistakes made in Phantom Menace was killing Darth Maul, because if he'd have been the villain, imagine Anakin having to fight Darth Maul to become the apprentice to the Emperor.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been epic. That would have been outrageously good.
Right.
But it's like they didn't plan enough. But that's my thoughts. I'm jumping the gun. That's my thoughts on Phantom Menace. And all honesty, at the time, I kind of liked it. I thought killing Darth Maul was a major letdown, and I thought that it was just a ground-leading episode. That's honestly what I thought then.
Okay.
In hindsight, Jar Jar definitely pulls a lot from the movie, but not as much as a lot of, like, what really pulls from the movie is the whole political intrigue. That's what really kills the movie. All the political scenes stop the movie dead, more than Jar Jar.
I think you can make that argument. Yeah, because it's just very flat.
Yeah.
You know, people are just reading their lines. There's no life in it at all.
Terrence Stamp has no desire to be there. And I've heard, there's a famous, I think, YouTube video about that where he was like, what the hell am I even doing?
Yeah.
And you could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was barely even aware, apparently, of Star Wars or anything about it.
What was going on.
Yeah.
So, then I thought it was okay, laying groundwork. Now I'm kind of like, it's the political stuff that, like, if I was to make my edit, I could probably leave the Phantom edit that was made that was famous. I would actually cut the political stuff down and leave Jar Jar is what I would do.
Well, that'd be one way to go. Well, that's your first movie, and you really want to kind of start off with a bang. So it's a little bit of a letdown. The second film, Attack of the Clones, I thought was the least of the three, and you're hoping going into it that okay, maybe he was building something. This is from my point of view. This is where we really start getting the meat and taters and the story and really good. And we had a different. It was an older actor that was going to play Anakin, so you're just excited what was going to happen, and it's just you had the movie in the first like 10 minutes. You have an assassination attempt, and it cuts to.
That's the opener.
That opens with that, and it cuts to immediately the chancellor's chambers, and they're all sitting down. Not men of action. They're all just sitting down. Oh, well, what should we do about it? Like, that is a microcosm of what's wrong with these prequels. We need the Jedi to be men of action. Can't someone kick a chair, kick a trash can, show a little bit of like, okay, we got to get the guy. We got to get, But he turned them all into these very soulless, bland monks, who it's just and they're clueless. They're just clueless. And I'm like, I know that the story where you're going in a story arc and the Sith rising, in a way they have to be clueless, but at least have someone with some passion. It just didn't feel authentic. And I thought that's how Attack of the Clones starts, and it didn't improve. But I will say Ewan McGregor is like the really only thing worth watching in Attack of the Clones. I thought his storyline was interesting. There's an adventure to it, and he's such a likable actor. So that was a highlight. And Natalie Portman having her outfit kind of ripped. That was kind of sexy.
There's a scene in you have to really watch for it. Now this is gonna sound pathetic. Is it that one or is it Phantom Menace? It's this one. There's a nipple slip scene. You have to really watch for it, but there's a nipple slip.
That is Attack of the Clones, isn't it?
I think it's Attack of the Clones. There's a nipple slip scene.
Yeah.
You have to really watch for it.
Yeah.
Hardcore fans know about it. There's like a nipple slip scene.
Well, I know my homework for the weekend.
There you
go.
Anyway, this is the most pathetic. This might be the most pathetic moment of all time on Incredible Hulk. There's a nipple slip scene in Star Wars.
Oh boy, it's late. There we are.
So, Attack of the Clones. I think I'm against the grain here, and I think it might be the one I like the most of the prequels.
Wow. Okay. All right.
The love story shit. The love story is like an F. It's a 0 star.
Yeah.
All those scenes are like 0 star, except for when he goes and massacres the Tusken Raiders. That's amazing. The Tusken Raider scene,
that's
the build-up and stuff.
Yeah.
I like it when he's like looking for her and he rides out and the
he's
music.
showing emotion. It's negative emotion, but at least it's emotion.
It's emotion. Yeah. But the love aspect of it is terrible. The Obi-Wan going after the clone army and then fighting Jango, I liked all that stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
The feel of it and all that kind of thing, and all those scenes are I probably liked it the best because it had a certain feel to it. Not a dark. I would hate to call it dark because it's Empire is the dark one, and I hate to be that guy. I go, oh, it's the dark. It just had a certain feel to it. I think it's because of the Jango and the Obi-Wan storylines. I liked all that, and looking for the clone army and stuff. And then when the clone army shows up, that's a really cool moment when you have the clone army battle takes off and stuff. I think what I would say about the prequels, it probably is exemplified most in this one. I think to me the core problem with the prequels, and I've said this before, you could take the same scripts, you could take the same actors, same budget, same everything, but if you just took George Lucas's director and moved him away and put in another director, those 3 movies are automatically that much better, and we would not be having a conversation about like failures of the prequels and stuff.
Right.
Because his angles and camera work is lazy in a lot of times. Again, I'm repeating some of the red letter media stuff, and I'll give him credit where credit's due. But, I mean, he kind of was lazy. He's lazy coaching the actors.
Right.
Hayden Christensen is a good actor. He's just fine.
Right.
It's not Hayden. He was done he did what he had to work with.
Yeah.
And who he had to work with. you take out George Lucas from all those movies are instantly better. But we're on Attack of the Clones. I think it's probably the better of the three, in my opinion, just because of the Jango Obi-Wan storyline and that whole feel and the Clone Army and all the introduction of the Clone Army stuff. I liked all that stuff.
Okay.
But other than the George Lucas criticism and the love story criticism, again, you suffer from the fact of our recurring villain. Now we introduce Count Dooku.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've went from Darth Maul to Count Dooku.
Right.
So now we have a whole new villain to contend with.
Right.
Which leads us now to Revenge of the Sith.
And by the way, that little confrontation at the end of Attack of the Clones, you could argue takes the action away from the heroes who are Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Which is the Mark rule. And
that's always a bad idea. It's one of my pet peeves.
But you're right, I've dubbed it the Mark rule. You never take the action out of your main protagonist's hands.
And it's guilty of that. Revenge of the Sith, I thought was the better of the three. And you could argue that's not saying a whole lot, but I thought of the three, I thought it was the one that I thought was closer to what I imagined the prequels could be in terms of getting down to more of the background of the Sith and the more darker elements there. And, of course, Anakin being Lord Vader, even though he's not in the suit. So you got to see that. So that part you finally get there, and it is a dark tale. It's disturbing, and the best shot of all the prequels, I still contend, is a wordless scene between Anakin and Padme, and on the two different high rises, looking at one another. They don't know that they're looking at one another, but they're both thinking of one another. And that's his moment where he can't let it go. He can't just stay put as he's been asked to, and he has to go and try to butt in and save her, and that's his undoing. And it's kind of a simple way to do it, but that's like the one scene I'll give George Lucas major props on that. When he is a visual storyteller, he can be quite good, but he doesn't want to be bothered too much with all the dialogue, and he doesn't have the patience for it. And I wish he had that skill, but he just never acquired it. But the wordless visual of that moment, really good. And then what else about that? I thought Ian McDiarmid he hams it up as Palpatine, but that was interesting. I enjoyed it. And what else? Yeah, we eventually do get to see actual Darth Vader as we know it, like for the last 5 seconds of the movie. That was a major kick in the crotch. It's like, the whole point of the prequels I thought was so that we'd see that guy for at least 2 movies, but instead we saw him for 2 minutes. Are you kidding me, George?
Yeah, and that's where you have to balance expectations.
Yeah.
Do you do your review based on expectation?
Right.
Or you do your review based on what you were delivered?
Exactly.
And we could do probably one show on expectations and a whole other show on the actual, responding to what was given us.
Well, it's like almost if we had Revenge of the Sith as the second movie, and a third one where he was just killing people like the end of Rogue One, that would have been like best movie ever, that kind of thing. That's... it's fan service, but damn it, sometimes, that's what we want.
Revenge of the Sith. Okay, let me stick to things that are easy to cover. Again, now we're given a third villain. We're given General Grievous.
Yes.
So now prequels have had a unique villain in each one. Well, what was the beauty of the original trilogy? Vader, overcoming Vader.
Right.
Yes, you had the Emperor, but it was Vader. Yes, I understand the prequels. You have Darth Sidious / Palpatine / Emperor, but he's not out in the forefront.
Right. He was always off screen until the very last film.
So I'm giving another villain. So I'm missing that, and they're doing the same mistake here in the. That's exactly the mistake they're making in the current trilogy. Okay, we had Kylo Ren and Snoke. I still don't know how to pronounce his name. Snoke, I guess. And now in the next one, you kill off Snoke, but you still have Kylo Ren, but kind of not, because you kind of can see like there's a chance, and you kind of like him. She might even kind of love him a little bit, but no. And then you know what I mean? It's like there's an inconsistency of the villain,
right?
Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back was killing machine.
Yes.
That motherfucker was ruthless.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't no redeeming qualities. That son bitch was killing everybody. His own people, their people, you name it.
Yeah, he's a bit of a smart ass too. He'd choke you to death, and
he was on a mission.
Apology accepted. It's like, well, but you didn't mean that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Revenge of the Sith, immediately I have a new villain. That takes me out of it quite a bit.
Yes.
The opening action scene with the damn things that land on the ship and start like sabotaging it. I remember watching the movie and I'm thinking, okay, cool, we're doing an epic battle scene right off the bat. All right, cool. And the fuck is that? Little robots that they land on your plane or your fighter and start tearing it apart.
Yeah, it was a cutie.
Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, a little too cutesy. Yeah, that's an interesting point.
That took me right out of it. And then when Anakin's conversion, it's like he's like fighting against the Emperor, he's doing everything he can, and then when he finally changes, even after he kills Mace Windu to stop him from killing the Emperor, you still feel he's not all the way converted. But then out of nowhere, he's just like, I will do anything you say, Master. So again, Lucas undercuts himself again. And he just keeps undercutting every momentum. Time he builds a momentum, he undercuts himself. Mm-hmm. Pulls the rug out from under himself.
Yeah. And
then all of that is nothing compared to my large complaint of the movie, which I cannot help but mix with some expectation.
Okay.
Since 1977, I have been told of a great battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan. Mm-hmm. So from 1977 to 2005, right?
Yes.
I've been nothing but told that this is the goddamn battle to end all fucking battles.
Right. This is it.
And what do? They intercut it with this fucking ridiculous cartoonish battle between Yoda and the Emperor. And he has to do his multi-battle bullshit. And I'm like, this is the scene I've been waiting for 87, 97, almost 30 years. And you just shit all over it with your cutesy, again, undermining yourself with this shitty fight that nobody cares about.
Yeah. And
totally pull the rug out from under what has been built up. It should have been an epic clash between Anakin and Obi-Wan that we stayed with, but no, they turned it into what they did, and that's the reason why it's the least of the prequels. And it's up until The Last Jedi was my least favorite. It's for that reason alone. I remember after the movie was over, I was like, "That's really the movie?"
Yeah.
I can't. My words fail me. I can't do justice to what I feel about that scene. Take everything I said and times it by 1,000,000. Mm-hmm. Maybe you'll get there. I can't. I don't have the words in me to describe that.
And you've been consistent with that point for ever
since 2005.
Since it came out. So, yeah, Lucas. He's got kind of a pattern he's established, and he was trying to stay with. And we all get all that, but at some point, there is something about. We always talk about take the crescendo, and
my rule.
That's one of that's your rule. And here he would have been so better served to kind of knock out of the way first, kind of a quick Yoda Palpatine standoff, and get that out of the way. Then give us the main event. And I could totally see where you're coming from, all that. You could have easily done it that way. Easily he could have done it that way. But he just chose not to. It's like, well, no, I got to stick with the formula. I do multi-battle in the end of all the Star Wars, and you're like,
although 1977 wasn't a multi-battle,
well,
it's the best one.
1977 was the best one, and certainly did not do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that argument is hollow. Yeah, that we have been told there's such a hype just on that battle alone. That's one of the reasons why so many people were interested in the prequels, is what happened there that went wrong with Obi-Wan and Anakin. That was the central point of interest for fans. So also, of course, his fall, Anakin's, and then how he would lose and be deformed and then have to be resurrected in the suit. And that was the biggest point of interest for the prequels. And you got to really deliver that. And just like really all three films, it's really a mixed bag. You might like moments, you cherry pick here and there, but it was not, it was not particularly well written scripts. There's things that could have just been. It's like all three scripts would have been okay as like day one. Like your first try, like, oh, that's okay. That's first try. Okay. Then you bring in Lawrence Kasdan and say, okay, this is he kind of what he has in mind. Now you fix it.
You hear stories about like David Fincher and stuff, and they were kicked around to direct at some point and things like that. Like you hear things like those type guys were thought maybe in hindsight, like, good God, imagine if Fincher. What if Fincher had the prequels? Oh my Lord, how good they could have been. But alas, not to be. All right, so we need to wrap up because we're almost out of time.
Oh, here we go.
What are your final thoughts to summarize the Star Wars prequel trilogy?
Mixed bag, kids movies, enjoy them for what they are, but they just aren't that entertaining.
They spawned some pretty cool toys though. I will defend the toy. The one thing I'll defend on, so it's not ending on a downer. Like the battle droids really kicked out. I love the battle droids.
The droidicas are really cool.
Yeah, with the they really had some cool. Like there were some cool elements. The was the old saying, the parts were greater than the whole. Isn't that how they say that?
Oh,
that
yeah,
phrase?
yeah. That's one way. Yeah.
It's ultimately when it comes to all three films, the parts are greater than the whole. Taken all together, not so much. And I would say, and credit where credit is due, and for my money, the world's official review of the prequels is Red Letter Media's Plinkett review. I would say, go watch the prequels, then watch Plinkett's all three reviews, and you'll have a pretty comprehensive point of view of where geekdom stands on the prequels. So I mean, I've watched those multiple times, so I'd be remiss if I didn't point people their way.
It's very detailed, but he's pretty spot on.
Yeah, they're worth the time. If you're geek, it's worth the time. Speaking of things being worth the time, adieu.